If the plan behind Neuralink is real, we are about to lose control of our own minds. It sounds like science fiction, but what you are about to hear about could be the beginning of something much darker than anyone is prepared to accept. Elon Musk has warned, but what didn't count about Neuralink? It's scary. Neuralink was introduced to the world as a medical revolution, a brain chip, directly connected to artificial intelligence, capable of treating neurological diseases and restoring body functions. But what no one is saying, or is hiding very well, is the real purpose behind this technology. Why create a direct bridge between the human brain and AI? And most importantly, who will you really have access to this direct channel with your mind? The words artificial intelligence, neural control, transhumanism, and brain connectivity sound like breakthroughs, but they're also the foundations of some of the most disturbing theories about total surveillance, mind, manipulation, and the loss of human autonomy. You're about to discover how the line between the biological and the digital is being blurred, and why tech giants like Elon Musk seem so obsessed with it. The truth is that no one invests billions of dollars in a project like Neuralink just to help people with paralysis. There is an invisible web of vested interests between governments, militaries, and AI megacorporations that are silently shaping a future where your freedom of thought can be replaced by algorithms. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy based on facts, registered patents, and ignored public statements. What if I told you that Neuralink could be the first step toward creating a new hybrid species, half human, half machine, completely controlled by artificial intelligence systems? What if this direct connection between brain and AI is actually the perfect weapon to erase individuality and implant ideas without you even realizing it? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you next reveals the hidden behind the scenes of a global experiment that has already begun and no one is noticing. If you are just beginning to understand the gravity of what is behind Neuralink, it is because your mind has not yet been completely taken over by the system. But pay attention. This type of information does not last long, and the algorithm does not like those who question it. Platforms have already limited content like this, and it can disappear at any moment. So, if you value the truth, leave the like right now. It's not just a button, it's a clear signal to YouTube that this type of content needs to be delivered to more people before it is silenced. And more. Subscribe to the channel now, because what comes in the next videos goes even deeper. We will reveal the hidden links between Neuralink, OpenAI, the military system, and the plans of a technological elite that wants to decide your future without your permission. It is serious. Time is running against us. You can't just be a passive spectator in the midst of all this. By signing up, you become part of a group of people who can still think for themselves, people who question, people who seek the truth before it is completely erased. Now, take a deep breath, because what you're about to discover could change everything you think about freedom, technology, and Elon Musk's true role in this story. Neuralink, at first glance, is presented as a medical innovation, a noble advance in neurotechnology. A small brain chip that, according to its creators, has the power to restore mobility to paralyzed people, restore sight to the blind, and even treat diseases such as Alzheimer's and depression. It seems like a promise of a cure, a miracle solution packaged in the discourse of scientific progress. But the question no one wants to ask, and few have the courage to explore, is that all? Because behind this clinical, futuristic surface lurks a much deeper, potentially darker agenda. Neuralink is, in essence, a brain-machine interface, a device capable of capturing electrical impulses from your brain, interpreting thoughts, and, at the same time, sending commands directly to your mind. This is not just innovation. This is unrestricted access to the center of your consciousness. We are talking about something that completely breaks the barrier between the biological and the digital, between free will and program. In some interview, Elon Musk even says that the union between humans and AI is inevitable, that we need to merge with machines so as not to become obsolete. But is this evolution really for the good of humanity? Or are we being seduced into voluntarily entering a system of neural surveillance where every thought, every emotion, every impulse can be tracked, analyzed, and even manipulated by algorithms? What if Neuralink is the first step toward creating a new mental order, where governments, corporations, and artificial intelligences can reprogram beliefs, censor ideas, and shape behaviors from the inside out? Think about it. An AI implanted in your brain. It doesn't just collect data. It directly influences how you feel, act, react. And all of this in the name of health, healing, progress. There are already papers suggesting that these neural interfaces could be integrated into global AI network. This means that, in theory, your mind could be connected to a central system, a brain cloud, accessible and controllable by whoever holds the technological power. Imagine a future where AI decides what you should remember, where it corrects thoughts that don't align with the system, where your dreams, desires, even your memories can be edited. Does it seem far away? Well, you should know that human trials have already begun. And not in 2040. In 2024, Neuralink has officially implanted the first chip in a human patient. According to reports, the individual was able to move a computer cursor just by thinking. Impressive, right? But stop and think. If this is what they are showing to the public, what else is being done behind the scenes? What else is already underway? In military labs, in secret partnerships between AI companies and governments that you don't know about? It is no coincidence that the same names that finance the advancement of artificial intelligence are also investing in neurotechnology. OpenAI, Google, Tesla, DARPA, they all have one thing in common: the desire to control the future. And controlling the future means control the human mind. We are no longer talking about influencing with advertising or social media. We are talking about insert commands directly into your brain, silently, in a programmed way, continuously. That's where the real fear begins. Because if your mind is connected, it can be accessed. And if it can be accessed, it can be hacked, altered, erased. What happens to freedom when even your most intimate thoughts can be monitored? When you no longer know whether what you're thinking is really yours, or has been installed by someone who has access to your mental code. And at this very moment, you may be feeling discomfort, a tightness in your stomach, a question you can't get out of your head. Is this already happening? And I understand you, because that's exactly the question asked by people who, upon investigating, discovered truths that completely changed their world. The truth is that the signs are everywhere. You just have to be willing to see them. That's why I need your help right now. Like this video, if it's making you see beyond the surface. It shows YouTube that you want more content like this. And comment below what you think about Neuralink. Do you believe this technology can free us or enslave us? Comment just one word: awakening. If you think it's time for us to open our eyes to all, then we go even deeper. Because what comes now is the part that no one dares to tell. The revelation that links Neuralink to a much bigger plan. Neuralink is not just a biomedical innovation. It is not just about health or about restoring motor functions. That is the acceptable narrative, the public facade. But behind the carefully calculated speeches, there are clues, documents, and statements that point to a much darker truth, a plan designed to transform the human being into the next digital platform. Do you remember when Elon Musk said, "We need to merge with the machines, or we will be irrelevant"? On the surface, it sounds like a warning. But what if that sentence is actually a confession of intent? What if merging with the machines is not a choice, but an imposed destiny? Leaked internal emails and technical reports, many of them covered up under the guise of industrial security, suggest that Neuralink already has partnerships with government agencies. You heard right, military. Images of soldiers being tested with neural interfaces are already circulating behind the scenes in the defense industry, with the aim of creating enhanced soldiers, humans who react faster, feel less pain, and who eventually obey orders directly received by digital impulses. This is no longer an assumption. In 2021, a patent was filed in the United States involving the use of AI coupled with the human brain to modulate emotional behaviors. Read it again. Modulation of emotional behavior. This means that technology is already being designed to regulate how you feel. Are you sad? Are you rebellious? Are you angry? The system can correct that. But who decides what is correct? Who defines the acceptable emotional standard? Now combine that with Neuralink, a chip that can send signals directly to your brain. Combine that with AI-trained algorithms to interpret behavioral patterns. Now think, doesn't this combination seem like a perfect silent weapon? One that doesn't need brute force because it dominates from within? You don't see the shackles. You adapt, obey, accept, believing you are still in control. And you know what makes it all the more disturbing? It's just that most people don't even suspect. While we watch funny videos on our cell phones, while we distract ourselves with superficial entertainment, the neural control architecture is being assembled piece by piece. The chip is just the beginning. There is already talk of shared neural networks, consciousness uploads, and mind backup. And all of this, according to official speeches, will be sold as comfort, convenience, and security. But what if I don't want to ask? And the answer may be more straightforward than it seems. Soon, there may be no choice. Because just as today you are pressured to accept privacy terms to use any application, in the future you may be forced to accept this type of evolution and socially function. Want a job? You need to be integrated. Do you want access to certain resources? You need to be synchronized. Do you want to participate in society? You need to be up to date. And here comes the scariest point of all. the progressive replacement of human autonomy by automated decision-making systems. This is already happening in algorithms that decide whether you get credit at the bank, pass an interview based on facial analysis, or whether your content is relevant enough to appear on a social network. Now imagine when the filter is inside your head, when what you think is evaluated in real time by a connected system. What if the thought is inappropriate? What happens to you? Elon Musk also said in a recent panel that, at some point, AI will be able to predict your next thought. This statement went unnoticed by many, but think about it. If AI can predict your next thought, can it also plant a previous thought to induce an expected reaction? We are talking about a programmed action-reaction chain, the illusion of choice within an invisible neural control system. The tech elite is already taking a stand, and the signs are everywhere. Quiet trillion-dollar investments, acquisitions of neuroscience startups by AI megacorporations, closed-door meetings at international forums on neural ethics. But when they care so much about ethics before the technology even exists in mass use, what do they know that we don't? And at this point, you might be wondering, why is no one talking about this? Why doesn't the media report it? Why don't experts warn? And the answer is as old as power. Whoever controls the information controls the narrative, and whoever controls the narrative shapes reality. That's why this video is important, because you've come this far, because you're searching, because you feel like something is wrong. Even when everyone around you tells you it's okay, you're not alone. There's a growing community here of awakened people who refuse to be conditioned by this system. Now I need your voice too. If this is making sense to you, or even if it's bothering you, comment below the word program. Comment now. This will help this video break through the algorithm and reach more people who need to see it. And if you want to vent, question, ask, the space is open. Leave what's on your mind. Because maybe, while it's still possible, we need to talk about this. And now that you are here, paying attention, reflecting on everything that has been revealed so far, it is time to face the most important question of all. If all this is true, what does this mean for our future? What does it mean for you, for your family, for all humanity? If this brain chip, this interface between the human mind and artificial intelligence, really does have the power to influence emotions, shape thoughts, rewrite behavior, then the definition of human being is already being changed before our very eyes. Because what makes us human, after all, is our free consciousness, our ability to decide for ourselves, to feel what we want, to imagine, to dream, to think outside the box. But what if all of this is about to happen, formatted by a system? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your decisions are no longer yours, that what you thought was intuition, personal judgment, or formed opinion was actually planted there by a code, an invisible but relentless algorithm. And we are no longer talking about manipulation by social media that already happens and is serious. Now, we are talking about direct mental manipulation through a chip implanted in your brain. If Neuralink or any other similar technology achieves this level of control, then you have to ask yourself, will we still be human, or just biological terminals inside a centralized AI net? What if governments and corporations decide to use this not to cure, but to dominate, to censor thoughts before they are even spoken, to suppress revolts, change behaviors, prevent questioning? Technology has always been sold as a solution, but history has already shown that every tool created for good can also be used for control. And now, with the power of artificial intelligence combined with neural biotechnology, we are entering uncharted and dangerously silent territory. Can you imagine using this technology en masse during an election? Implanting subtle impulses that favor a candidate? Stimulating fear, hope, anger, or submission with a click? That would be the most efficient and invisible form of manipulation ever created by humanity. And do you know what's even crazier? In the midst of all this, the discourse continues to be about healing, improving quality of life, access to evolution. But the question that won't go away is, what if this promise of a cure is just the perfect facade to meet a system of absolute, a kind of mental prison where you don't see the bars because they are installed inside your head? Think about it. If a system can regulate your anger, it can also impede your courage. If it can curb your anxiety, it can also eliminate your indignation. What happens to a population that is emotionally manipulated, neurologically regulated, and intellectually conditioned to obey? The answer is written in the history of totalitarian regime, only now, with infinitely more precise and silent tools. And how do we know we still have control over our decisions when a simple neural signal can be enough to modify our desires? AI is fast, logical, and extremely efficient, but it lacks empathy, human, ethics, and genuine emotion. If it has the power to shape our consciousness, it could turn us into cold versions of ourselves, operational, productive, obedient, but empty inside. Does this all sound exaggerated? Maybe. But isn't that what history has always shown? That great advances have started with promises and ended with abuse? Think of the data, the documents, the interviews that have been ignored. Think of the frenetic pace of technological advancement, the billions invested in silence, the human trials that have already begun. Think of what is being sold as improvement and what is being hidden behind that curtain. Now tell me, do you think we still have time? Or have we already reached the point of no return? I really want to read your opinion. Comment below with the word control. If you feel like this could all be slipping away from us, and if you want to go further, also comment on what scares you most about this progress. It could be just one sentence. I'm afraid of losing my freedom. Or, this all seems like fiction. It makes sense. Whatever you. This space here is more than a video. It is a channel of alert, reflection, and resistance. Because as long as we can still think for ourselves, we need to keep questioning. And what I'm going to show you now may be the clearest indication that all of this is already and perhaps more advanced than anyone imagined. You've made it this far, and that says a lot about you. Open-minded, questioning, ready to see what many still ignore. This is the kind of person who makes a difference, and that's exactly why this channel exists. Here, the truth is unfiltered, the questions are real, and the subjects are the ones they don't want you to find out about. Now is the time to strengthen this community. Click subscribe and be part of this movement that is growing. With each new video, you will be one step ahead, knowing what is behind the beautiful speeches, technological advances, and the hidden intentions. And most importantly, you will not be alone in this journey. If this content touched you, comment below. I'm waking up, or write what impacted you most in this video. Your comment helps this video reach other minds like yours. People who also deserve to know what's behind Neuralink, artificial intelligence, and all this that seems like just the beginning. And what has been revealed here is just the surface. In the next video, you will understand how large corporations are already integrating AI systems directly into global decision center, and why this may be connected to a silent project of mass behavioral engineering. Names, documents, strategic alliances. It all starts to fall into place when you see the pattern. There's an invisible thread connecting Neuralink, OpenAI, and the quiet moves by governments that are ushering in a new era of total digital control. And those who see it now have a chance to be prepared for what's coming. Ring the bell and come with me, because what is about to be revealed connects all the pieces.